Are you feeling burdened by relationships that seem to drain your spirit rather than uplift you? In this video, we explore the powerful and often unseen ways that God is protecting you, even when it feels like everything around you is falling apart. From the peace that comes after distancing yourself from toxic influences to the clarity that reveals hidden intentions, you'll discover how God's love and protection work in the most unexpected ways. Through the stories of divine redirection, healing, and purpose, you'll learn how even the hardest moments can be signs of God's love and His plan to elevate you. This journey is not just about surviving. It's about thriving in the life God has prepared for you. Stick with us to the end, and you'll find the strength and clarity you need to trust God's plan for your life, no matter how uncertain the path ahead may seem. Don't miss out on discovering how your pain can become part of your divine purpose. You are not alone. God is with you every step of the way. Before we start, I'd appreciate your support. If you liked the video, please subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated on future lessons from God. In the depths of our struggles, when the weight of confusion and heartache presses upon our social sphere, emerges a powerful temptation to question the very nature of God. Why does He allow this suffering to take root in our lives? Why does He permit the unraveling of relationships that once seemed so secure, leaving us in a sea of pain and loss? These are questions that echo in our hearts, born from the limitations of our human perspective and the fragility of our understanding. In these moments, we feel like we are standing in the shadows of a storm, unable to see the sun behind the clouds. But amid the storm, a deeper truth quietly unfolds. God, in His infinite wisdom, often uses our brokenness to draw us nearer to Him, to transform our pain into something greater than we could ever conceive. It is through the very emptiness we feel that He fills us with His overwhelming presence, His gentle guidance, and His unshakable peace. Pause for a moment and reflect deeply. Are there relationships in your life that feel like chains, binding you to a never-ending cycle of discouragement, despair, or doubt? Have you found yourself wondering, why, God? Why is this happening to me? When perhaps the question that would unlock the door to healing is, what are you teaching me through this trial? What if, instead of seeing this pain as a punishment, we begin to view it as God's way of protecting us, refining us, and preparing us for something far beyond our limited understanding? In His love, He is not just shielding us from harm. He is shaping us, molding us into the people we need to become to fulfill His higher purpose for our lives. What if this moment of pain is a necessary step in a divine journey leading us to a future we could never have imagined? How, then, do you find your true self amid the turmoil and the tears? The path that God lays before you may not always be easy or comfortable, but rest assured, it is always filled with purpose. The pain you are experiencing is never wasted. It is a vital part of the divine tapestry being woven with every thread of your existence. Each trial you face, each tear that falls, is a stitch in the fabric of your life, contributing to the greater masterpiece that God is crafting. Trust that even in the darkest of times, when the road ahead seems unclear and the weight of uncertainty burdens your heart, God is working on your behalf. He is creating something beautiful, something profound, something that will gloriously unfold in His perfect timing. Now, let us venture even deeper into this revelation. Let us begin to uncover the hidden signs that reveal God's protective hand over your life, even in places where you might least expect it. Have you ever felt drained by a family member who constantly brings you down, perhaps a son or a close relative whose presence fills you with sorrow rather than joy? What if those very relationships, while painful, are being used by God to protect you from further harm, to teach you the value of boundaries, or to refine your character? These signs of divine protection are not coincidental. They are not random occurrences. They are intentional movements of a loving and protective God, guiding you toward a place of freedom, peace, and fulfillment. Pay close attention to them, and trust in His plan, even when it's difficult to understand. He is leading you toward something greater, and though the journey may hurt, it is always for your ultimate good. He is not merely shielding you from harm. He is steering you toward the abundant life He has always intended for you. 1. Your peace feels restored. When you choose to create space, peace becomes one of the most profound and sacred gifts that God, in His infinite love, offers to His children. This is not the superficial, fleeting peace that the world attempts to offer, one that vanishes the moment the storms return. No, this is a peace that runs deep, a stillness that transcends all understanding and stands as a firm foundation even amidst life's fiercest trials. The moment you begin to feel this peace after distancing yourself from a toxic family member, know that it is no coincidence. It is a divine work, a shield from the emotional turmoil and chaos that the presence of that person may bring into your life. This peace is not just a temporary respite, but rather a protective, loving intervention from a Father who desires nothing more than for you to live in wholeness, free from the heavy burden of strife. Consider, for a moment, the storms that raged upon the sea when Jesus was with his disciples. They were terrified, convinced that death was imminent, that their lives were slipping away with each crashing wave. Yet, amid their fear and desperation, with just a single word, he calmed the violent winds and brought the tumultuous waves to a screeching halt. That same peace, mighty, unwavering, and tender, is the peace that God offers to you. When someone in your life is a continual source of emotional turbulence, stirring up storms of conflict, doubt, or discouragement, God's intervention is no less miraculous. He may not immediately change the person or the circumstances, but he will, with loving kindness, step in to soothe and calm your spirit. In his perfect timing, he creates space within your soul for his peace to take root, a peace that quiets the chaos and whispers to your heart, "I am here. I am guarding your heart and mind. Trust me, I will carry you." And so, as you reflect on this peace that returns, it's important to recognize that it's not merely the absence of conflict. No, it is the palpable presence of God. You will feel it as your thoughts become clearer, your heart less heavy, and your sleep more peaceful. You may notice that your worries seem distant, replaced by a deep sense of trust in God's sovereignty. When this peace floods your life only after taking a step back from a family member, it is a powerful and unmistakable sign that God is actively at work in your life, protecting you from the forces that seek to steal your joy and well-being. This is not a small thing. It is a declaration of his tender care for you. Distance does not always mean permanent separation, but it does grant you the clarity you need to evaluate the impact a relationship is having on your spirit. When we are entangled in the web of toxic situations, our judgment becomes clouded, and our perspective is warped. But when we take a step back, God is given the space to minister to our hearts and to work in both our and the other person's life. This space provides the opportunity to discern whether the relationship aligns with his will for our lives, or whether it threatens to undermine our spiritual well-being. In those moments of peace, lean into prayer, seeking God's voice. Ask him to reveal his heart for that relationship. Trust that he is guiding you, for he promises that all things work together for the good of those who love him. Remember, the words of Psalm 34 verse 14 echo deep truths. Turn away from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. Sometimes, the pursuit of peace requires a hard decision to let go of the things, or people, that disrupt that peace, even when they are close to us. But this act is not one of selfishness. It is an act of obedience, a step toward honoring God's will for your life. For those of you struggling to create this necessary distance, know that God sees the aching of your heart. He knows the profound weight of your decision, the emotional ties that make it so difficult to walk away. Yet, his promise is unshakable. He will never leave you nor forsake you. He will walk beside you through every moment of heartache, gently replacing the emptiness with his boundless love and tender assurance. Trust in his faithfulness to fill the void with his presence. And know with unwavering confidence that his plans for you are to prosper you, to give you a future full of hope, and to shield you from harm. You are never alone in this journey. His arms are wide, waiting to hold you close. 2. Their words no longer hold power over you. Words hold incredible power. Proverbs 18 verse 21 profoundly declares, "The tongue has the power of life and death." With a single utterance, words can uplift, breathe life into someone's soul, and build a foundation of hope. But they can also devastate, sinking deep into the heart and leaving scars that linger far beyond the moment they're spoken. When the words that once had the power to pierce your spirit and tear down your self-worth are now nothing more than a distant, hollow echo, that is no coincidence. It is a powerful, unmistakable sign that God is at work in your life, breaking the chains that bound you to negativity and freeing you from the control that their words once held over you. This divine intervention is a testament to his unshakable love and his commitment to restoring your identity in his truth. This transformation does not occur by chance. It is the deliberate and loving work of God's Spirit within you. He is the one who shields your heart, renews your mind, and protects your spirit from the onslaught of harmful words. Consider the words of Ephesians 6 verse 16, where we are commanded to take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Words that tear down, criticize, and belittle are like flaming arrows, aimed directly at your heart, seeking to destroy your sense of worth and confidence. Yet, when God steps in, He equips you with His strength, enabling you to deflect those attacks and stand firm in the truth of who He says you are. As the sting of those hurtful words dissipates, a beautiful revelation unfolds. Your identity is no longer defined by what others say about you, but by the powerful and loving declaration of your Creator. You are His beloved child, fearfully and wonderfully made, cherished beyond measure. The opinions of others, once so loud and overwhelming, pale in comparison to the truth God speaks over you. This shift in perspective is nothing short of liberating. It's God's gentle and powerful way of protecting your heart, reminding you of your true value, and helping you reclaim your peace. Have you ever noticed how negativity thrives on your reaction? When someone criticizes or belittles you, their power lies in the weight you assign to their words. But when you stop reacting, when you no longer let their words rattle your confidence, they lose their power over you. This isn't your strength at work. This is the very power of God moving within you. It's His armor, shielding you from harm and His truth, dismantling the lies that were spoken against you. This doesn't mean that hurtful words will stop entirely, but it does mean they no longer control you. You'll find that, instead of replaying those words in your mind over and over, you'll focus more and more on the promises of God. His word becomes the unshakable foundation upon which you stand, firm and resolute. Verses like Isaiah 54 verse 17 take on new life in your heart. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. These words are a divine assurance that God is fighting for you, protecting you from the voices that seek to tear you down and steal your peace. He promises that no weapon formed against you, whether it be physical or verbal, will succeed. You are His, and He will defend you. As time passes, you may even find yourself moved with compassion for the very person who once used their words to hurt you. You begin to understand that hurt people often hurt others, and their negativity may be a reflection of their inner pain and insecurities. This revelation doesn't excuse their behavior, but it frees you from the grip of bitterness, allowing you to release them into God's hands. Forgiveness, then, becomes possible. Not because they deserve it, but because you have been set free from the weight of their words. You no longer carry the burden of their hurtful words. They no longer hold the power to dictate your peace. As you reflect on this beautiful and liberating transformation, let it be a reminder of God's constant protection in your life. He is not only shielding you from the harm of others, but He is also gently and powerfully transforming you from within. The peace and freedom you feel are evidence of His grace, His power, and His relentless love for you. Trust in His work, knowing that He will continue to protect, guide, and strengthen you in the face of all adversity. His power is greater than any hurtful words, and He will always be your shield and your refuge. 3. When doors seem to close around the influence of a family member. It's often in the quiet moments of change, when doors begin to close, that we find the most powerful signs of God's work behind the scenes. These closed doors may come in the form of fewer chances to interact, strained communication, or even physical distance. At first, it may feel like a painful, bewildering experience, especially when it involves someone close to you, a family member, perhaps. You might wrestle with confusion, wondering why a connection that once felt so natural now seems to be slipping away. But what if these closed doors are not mere coincidences? What if they are divine interventions, carefully crafted by a loving God who is protecting you in ways that you may not fully understand in the moment? God, in His infinite wisdom, knows the deepest recesses of every heart. He sees the hidden motives, the unspoken intentions, and the actions that might be concealed from our eyes. We see only the surface of a relationship, the smiles, the words, the shared moments, but God sees its impact on your spiritual, emotional, and mental well-being. His understanding surpasses our limited human perspective, and He often intervenes in ways that, at first glance, may seem perplexing. Yet, it is precisely these moments that often signify God's loving protection over our hearts. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. A closed door is not always a rejection. In fact, it can be one of the clearest signs of God's hand at work in your life. It's His way of redirecting you, pulling you away from paths that would have led to harm, and instead guiding you toward His divine plan for your life, one that is filled with peace, safety, and purpose. Consider the story of Noah, for example. When God commanded Noah to build the ark, he had to endure incredible ridicule and mockery from those around him, people who couldn't understand the divine purpose he was following. Yet, when the time came, it wasn't Noah who sealed the door of the ark, it was God himself. He closed the door, sealing Noah and his family inside, protecting them from the flood that would engulf the earth. In the same way, God may close doors in your life. Sometimes the door to a relationship that drains your peace and energy, so that you are protected from the emotional floods that can sweep you away. God's closed doors are not meant to harm you. They are His divine way of ensuring your well-being. Moreover, a closed door presents a rare and precious opportunity for reflection. It allows you to take a step back from the emotional weight of constant interaction and see the situation from a new, clearer perspective. You can ask yourself hard questions in the stillness. Has this relationship been nourishing my soul, or has it been slowly pulling me away from God's purpose for my life? Is this person inspiring me to grow in the Lord, or are they sowing seeds of doubt and discouragement? These moments of introspection often unveil the divine purpose behind the closed door, helping you to see why God has intervened with such precision. Sometimes, these closed doors come in the form of circumstances that are completely out of your control. Perhaps the family member moves far away, becomes consumed with other responsibilities, or simply stops reaching out. Initially, this may feel like rejection, leaving you with feelings of abandonment. But it is crucial to recognize this not as a punishment but as protection. God is actively removing influences that are not aligned with His plan for your life. His love for you is so profound that He is willing to create space between you and those relationships that could ultimately pull you away from the peace He desires for you. In these tender, sometimes painful moments, your response should be to lean into God through prayer and trust His divine timing. Isaiah 22 verse 22 says, "When He opens a door, no one can close it, and when He closes a door, no one can open it." Take comfort in the truth that God is always in control, that when He closes a door, He is not forsaking you but protecting you. He is guiding you toward doors that lead to blessings, growth, and peace. Though you may not fully understand why a door has closed in your life, trust that His hand is always at work, leading you to a future filled with the peace and purpose He has carefully crafted just for you. In those moments of uncertainty, let your heart rest in the assurance that God is working behind the scenes, closing doors not to limit you, but to free you. For you begin to see their true intentions. When God begins to protect you from a family member, one of the most powerful and profound signs is a sudden, undeniable clarity about their true intentions. Relationships, especially those with family, are meant to be rooted in trust, love, and mutual support. But sometimes, the deepest bonds can blind us to the subtle yet harmful patterns of manipulation, jealousy, or toxicity. The loyalty we feel toward a family member can cloud our judgment, making it difficult to see behaviors that erode our peace and sense of self. But when God decides to intervene, He will gradually remove the scales from our eyes, revealing the truth of a relationship that, up until now, may have felt comforting but was secretly draining or damaging. This is not a coincidence. This is God's divine revelation, a loving act of protection. This revelation doesn't always come in a single moment. Often, it unfolds slowly, like a gentle unveiling that exposes the hidden undercurrents of a relationship. You may begin to notice subtle patterns that you once overlooked or dismissed as trivial, but now they feel far more significant. Perhaps a family member consistently undermines your confidence, belittles your achievements, or uses guilt to manipulate you into doing what they want. These actions, though painful, often go unnoticed because of the emotional attachment and the history you share. But when God opens your eyes, He allows you to see the relationship for what it truly is. Both the good and the bad, the love and the manipulation, the support and the subtle harm. This moment of clarity is a gift, a revelation of truth that may sting but will ultimately lead you to freedom. The Bible speaks powerfully about the importance of wisdom and discernment, especially when navigating relationships. Proverbs 2 verse 6 says, "For the Lord gives wisdom. From His mouth come knowledge and understanding." When God reveals someone's true intentions, He is offering you a precious gift of wisdom. He is equipping you with the understanding you need to make decisions that align with His will for your life. This clarity may feel like a heavy burden at first, but it is a crucial step in your growth and healing. It's an invitation from God to approach the relationship with newfound wisdom, to set boundaries that protect your peace and honor your emotional well-being. While the pain of revelation may be intense, it doesn't necessarily mean that you must cut the person off immediately. God's call is not one of hatred or vengeance, but of protection and wisdom. He asks you to guard your heart with care and love, as Proverbs 4 verse 23 reminds us. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Recognizing harmful intentions in a relationship is not an invitation to retaliate, but to protect your spirit from further harm. Setting boundaries is not an act of animosity, but an act of self-respect and stewardship of the life and peace God has entrusted to you. This newfound clarity also presents an opportunity for deep personal growth. It challenges you to reflect on how this person's influence has shaped your thoughts, decisions, and actions over time. Have you allowed them to push you into compromising your values? Have their words or actions made you doubt your worth, question your abilities, or lose sight of your own goals? God is revealing these truths not to condemn you but to free you. He is calling you to step into the identity He has created for you. One of strength, confidence, and purpose, rooted in His truth rather than the fleeting opinions of others. As you come to terms with the pain and betrayal that often accompany this kind of clarity, you might experience a wave of sadness, anger, or confusion. These emotions are natural, but they are also an invitation to lean more deeply into God's grace. In these moments, God is not only revealing the truth about others, but drawing you closer to Himself. He is showing you the path to healing, and it leads through His love and understanding. Trust that His intention is not to wound you, but to protect you, to refine you, and to prepare you for deeper, healthier relationships in the future. Over time, this revelation may even lead to compassion. Understanding someone's true intentions often exposes the pain, insecurities, or unhealed wounds that drive their negative behavior. While this does not excuse their actions or mean that you should continue to allow them to harm you, it can soften your heart and allow you to forgive. You may find yourself praying for their healing, even as you continue to maintain the boundaries that God has guided you to establish. Forgiveness becomes a pathway to peace, not for their sake, but for yours. You no longer carry the weight of bitterness, and you are free to move forward in your healing. Remember, God is the ultimate revealer of truth. When He uncovers someone's hidden intentions, it is not to harm you, but to protect you and guide you toward relationships that align with His plan for your life. Trust Him in this process, knowing that His wisdom, His love, and His protection are always working for your good. With God's guidance, you will move forward stronger, wiser, and more aligned with His divine purpose for your life. 5. You're surrounded by new uplifting relationships. When God begins to protect you from a family member who consistently brings you down, one of the clearest signs of His divine intervention is the arrival of new, uplifting relationships in your life. These new connections are not random or coincidental. They are a deliberate provision from God, an intentional reminder of His unwavering love, care, and purpose for you. When a toxic family member has drained your spirit, leaving you feeling unsupported and unloved, God steps in and fills the void with people who nurture, encourage, and uplift you in ways you never thought possible. These relationships often appear at a time when you feel most vulnerable, when the emotional wounds from distancing yourself are still raw, and the sting of separation feels fresh. In these sacred moments, God reveals His faithfulness, surrounding you with individuals who speak life into your heart and help you heal from the pain. These new relationships feel divinely timed, as if God Himself handpicked these people to walk alongside you. They may not know the full extent of your struggles, but their presence in your life feels like an answer to prayer, a tangible reminder that God sees you, understands your heart, and has provided exactly what you need. God's design for relationships is rooted in love, mutual encouragement, and spiritual growth. Ecclesiastes 4 verses 9 to 10 beautifully expresses this, saying, "Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls, one can help the other up." In contrast, toxic relationships often do the opposite. They push you down instead of lifting you. But these new, uplifting connections reflect God's heart for you, offering support when you stumble and celebrating with you when you rise. As these relationships develop, you'll notice a profound sense of ease, authenticity, and peace that was absent in your previous interactions. There's no longer a need to tread carefully, second-guess your words, or anticipate criticism. These new connections offer a haven, where you feel accepted and valued just as you are, without pretense. This is a reflection of God's unconditional love for you, brought to life through the people He has placed in your path. In many cases, the people God brings into your life during this season will serve as sources of wisdom and guidance. They may be mentors who inspire you with their faith and life experiences, or friends who walk alongside you through the challenges of everyday life. These individuals act as vessels of God's grace, reminding you that you are never alone. Proverbs 27 verse 17 speaks to the beauty of this dynamic. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. These relationships not only offer comfort but also foster growth, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. The strength and wisdom that you receive from these connections will empower you to move forward, make wiser decisions, and live more fully in the purpose God has set before you. The shift from toxic to uplifting relationships serves as confirmation that you made the right decision in distancing yourself from negativity. God uses these new connections to show you what healthy, God-honoring relationships look like. You begin to understand that His intention for your relationships is to reflect His love and to build you up, not to tear you down. These new relationships become a living testament to His faithfulness, provision, and love. As they flourish, they often create opportunities for you to give back. Uplifting relationships are reciprocal, and the encouragement you receive inspires you to offer the same support and love to others in return. This creates a cycle of positivity, joy, and growth, reflecting God's perfect design for community. As you grow in these new relationships, you begin to realize that just as others have been sent to bless you, you are also called to be a blessing in their lives. This shift in perspective helps you to see God's larger plan at work, not only in your life but also in the lives of those around you. The people God brings into your life are not only meant to bless you, they are also people you are meant to bless. This understanding of reciprocity strengthens your faith and reinforces the beauty of living in God's love. However, this transition is not always without its challenges. You may still struggle with feelings of guilt, sadness, or even confusion over the family member you've distanced yourself from. It's natural to mourn the loss of what you had hoped that relationship could be. But remember, God's plans are always for your good, even when they involve painful decisions. Romans 8 verse 28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." The new relationships in your life are evidence of God's commitment to this promise. They are a reminder that God is always working for your good, leading you toward peace, healing, and joy. As you grow into these new connections, take time to nurture them with intention and gratitude. Building strong, God-centered relationships requires effort and care. Be present, be supportive, and be willing to invest in these new friendships with an open heart. These relationships are a precious gift, and like any gift, they are meant to be cherished and appreciated. It's also essential to guard against the temptation to hold on to bitterness or resentment toward the family member you've distanced from. God's provision of uplifting relationships is a beautiful reminder of His grace, and He calls you to extend that same grace to others, even to those who have hurt you. Forgiveness doesn't mean allowing toxicity back into your life, but it does mean releasing the burden of anger and trusting God to handle the situation in His perfect way. Through these new relationships, God is teaching you about His love, His provision, and His desire for your life to be filled with peace and joy. The people He places in your life during this time are not just a comfort, they are a reflection of His heart for you. They remind you that you are never alone and that God's plans for your relationships are always rooted in His goodness, love, and faithfulness. So, embrace these relationships with open arms and an open heart. Let them remind you of God's love, His constant presence, and His unwavering commitment to your well-being. Trust that He is leading you toward a future filled with hope, purpose, and peace. Surrounded by people who reflect His light and help you become the person He created you to be, these relationships are not just a sign of His protection, they are a glimpse of His kingdom here on earth. A beautiful, living testament of His unfailing love, care, and provision for His children. 6. You feel a stronger pull toward your purpose. One of the most profound and awe-inspiring signs that God is powerfully protecting you from the toxic forces of a family member who seeks to drag you down is the sudden, unmistakable pull toward your divine purpose. This powerful shift is not a coincidence. It is a sacred intervention, a deliberate and intentional act of God, removing the distractions and negative influences that have clouded your vision, paralyzed your growth, and dimmed your ability to fully embrace the calling He has placed on your life. It's as though He clears the fog that has obscured your path, allowing His light to shine with brilliant clarity, revealing the purpose He designed for you from the very beginning. When God shields you from relationships that deplete your spirit and drag your soul into the shadows of doubt, He graciously redirects your focus, energy, and heart toward the sacred mission He has uniquely tailored for you. To fully grasp the profound impact of this divine pull, we must first ground ourselves in the rock-solid truth of our identity in Christ. Toxic relationships, especially those with family members, have an insidious ability to distort our self-perception, to leave us questioning our worth, doubting our abilities, and wandering without clear direction. The hurtful words, the manipulative actions, and the harsh criticisms all have the power to chip away at our sense of self, leaving us fractured and unsure of who we are. Yet, in the divine mercy of God, He intervenes, like a loving Father reminding us of our true identity. He whispers to our hearts, bringing healing and restoration, reminding us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139 verse 14. We are not just any creation, but a masterpiece, intricately designed by the hands of God, made with a purpose that no one else can fulfill. This revelation of who we are in Him forms the cornerstone of our renewed sense of direction. When we begin to see ourselves through the lens of God's love, chosen, beloved, and fully equipped for the calling He has placed within us, we are no longer defined by the fractured perceptions of others. This newfound clarity ignites a fire within us, enabling us to break free from the suffocating chains of negativity and embrace the glorious freedom to pursue the high calling God has entrusted to us. Toxic relationships often generate a deafening noise in our lives: constant conflict, unrelenting criticism, and heart-wrenching manipulation. This chaos consumes our mental and emotional energy, leaving little space for the clarity needed to discern our true calling. But when God steps in and removes these destructive influences, you will experience a powerful shift. The mental fog that once clouded your mind and heart will begin to lift, and you will be able to see the path ahead of you more clearly than ever before. This is no random occurrence. It is God's divine hand at work, clearing the way so you can focus on what truly matters. Proverbs 16 verse 9 beautifully reminds us, "In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." When God removes the noise of negativity, He is actively establishing your steps, guiding you toward the purpose He has meticulously designed for you. Each step you take is part of a larger, divinely orchestrated plan, and every action is bathed in the light of His guidance. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have you ever felt the sudden spark of a long-dormant dream reignite in your heart? A dream you once believed was unreachable or long forgotten. This is often a profound sign that God is pulling you back toward your purpose. Toxic relationships have a way of suffocating your dreams, making you feel as though your deepest desires are impossible, unworthy, or out of reach. But when God protects you, restores your spirit, and rebuilds your confidence, those dreams rise from the ashes, filled with new life and bursting with potential. At first, this pull may feel like a faint whisper, a gentle nudge from God reminding you of the passions and gifts He placed in you long ago. But as you lean into His presence, that whisper grows louder, clearer, and more undeniable. It becomes a call to action, a divine summons to rise and step boldly into the destiny He has always had in mind for you. This is God's way of reminding you that His plans for you have not been derailed, even by the storms of life or the voices of discouragement. Another powerful manifestation of this pull toward your divine purpose is the arrival of divine alignment in your life. As you begin to move toward the calling God has placed on your heart, you may notice doors opening before you, seemingly without explanation. These are not mere coincidences. They are the fingerprints of God, orchestrating opportunities, connections, and resources that will empower you to fulfill His purpose. These divine moments are not to be overlooked. They are God's unmistakable way of affirming that you are on the right path. Whether it's a job opportunity that seems tailor-made for you, a chance encounter with someone who inspires you, or an idea that fills you with instant clarity, these moments are gifts from God. Pay attention to them. They are His way of saying, "You are on the right path. Keep moving forward." Pursuing your purpose is rarely without challenges. It requires unwavering faith, relentless determination, and a spirit of resilience, especially when you are healing from the wounds left by toxic relationships. But know this, as God leads you toward your purpose, He will also strengthen you for the journey ahead. Isaiah 40 verse 31 offers a powerful promise. "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." This is the divine strength that comes from God alone, a strength that is renewed with each step of faith you take. As you distance yourself from the negative influences that once drained your energy, you will find that your strength, motivation, and passion are now focused on fulfilling your divine calling. This newfound energy is not just for surviving but for thriving, for overcoming every obstacle that stands in your way. It is the strength that allows you to persevere through trials, trusting fully in God's grace to carry you through. The pull toward purpose is not just about what you achieve on the outside. It is deeply rooted in your relationship with God. As He removes toxic influences, He invites you into deeper intimacy with Him. The time and energy that was once consumed by negativity are now redirected toward worship, prayer, and seeking His guidance. This spiritual growth is transformational. Your purpose begins to take shape not as a checklist of achievements, but as a beautiful, ongoing journey of faith, obedience, and divine partnership. You come to see that every step you take toward your calling is an act of worship, a way to honor and glorify God. This deeper connection with Him becomes your anchor, your source of strength, and your ultimate guide through the highs and lows of life's journey. Finally, one of the most beautiful aspects of this divine pull toward purpose is the ripple effect it creates. Your purpose is never just about you. It is designed to touch and transform the lives of others. As you step into the calling God has placed on your life, you become a vessel for His work, a beacon of hope and light for those around you. Matthew 5 verse 16 encourages us, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Your obedience to God's call has the power to impact the world in ways you may never fully comprehend. Whether through small, everyday acts of kindness or grand, world-changing initiatives, your life becomes a living testament to God's goodness and faithfulness. Your journey, though uniquely yours, is part of a greater story, one that inspires others to walk in faith and trust in God's unshakable love. As we reflect on all that we've explored today, we see how God's protection and redirection shape the path toward our true purpose. From the restoration of our identity in Christ to the divine alignment that opens doors, this journey is one of deep transformation, filled with healing, clarity, and renewed strength. As you continue to walk in His purpose for your life, remember that each step you take, no matter how small, is an act of faith, trust, and worship. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned today? What is one thing you're taking from this message that you will begin to practice in your life starting now? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I can't wait to read what you've learned. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment, like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. Thank you so much for being here, and remember, God's plans for you are greater than anything you can imagine. Stay blessed.